Hi, this is Dr. Do, and today we're going to talk about MLA in-text citations. Before we get started on that, let me mention that there's another video on how to set up your paper in MLA format, which you might want to take a look at. There's a video after this one, the third in our series, on how to write your works cited page. But today we're going to concentrate on quotations and parenthetical documentation in the text of your paper. Let's get started. First, let's review what we already know, how to set up your paper in MLA format. So in MLA format, you do have last name and page number on every page at the half-inch margin. You do have your name, your professor's name, the name of the class, and then the date. Your title is centered. The first word is always capitalized, and each of your paragraphs are indented by 5. Make sure, of course, that you are using 12-point font Times New Roman and that everything is pretty and double-spaced. Moving on. So, in-text citations. One thing that you're really going to want to remember is that when you're introducing a citation, you want to use action words. You don't want to say that so-and-so said something, and then this person said this, and then someone said that, because that is the most boring thing in the world. You want people who assert things. You want people who claim things. You want to talk about people who accuse. So, nice, strong action words, and also in the present tense. All right, so pro tip. Direct quotes always have citations at the end of the sentence. So when you're using someone's exact words, you don't change words, you don't change spellings, you just put it in there in quotation marks, and it's usually followed by the author's last name, which will coincide with the works cited page, and then also the page number. Do not add a live link as an in-text citation. So here are 2 ways to directly quote someone. So let's talk about Dr. King's letter from a Birmingham jail, which was one of my favorites. So you can say, Dr. King said, oh, it should be says, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And then, so you have open quote, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, end quote, open parentheses, the page number, which is 14, close parentheses, and then the period. Putting the period at the end is really important. That's the technical end of the sentence, and that's where it needs to go. Another way to do this is if you didn't have this attributive tag where it says Dr. King says, so you introduce it using his name, you could just say, open quote, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And then you have Dr. King's last name, and then the page number where it's found, close quote, and then period. Now, you'll notice that even though it's in the middle of the sentence, the I in injustice is capitalized. That's because in the text, it is also the beginning of the sentence. So even though here it's not at the beginning of the sentence, you are going to go ahead and capitalize that. It's a direct quote. A good place to find information on MLA in-text citations, works cited pages, and how to set up your paper is the Purdue Online Writing Lab, often called the OWL. They usually have very up-to-date information. So the latest MLA, and I think we're in the 7th edition right now, you'll find that here. So what if there's no author name? This happens a lot when you're doing, like if you're looking on a government research website, you're looking in a reputable magazine, a lot of times they'll have staff writers who don't have bylines. So if there's no author, you can't use their name. But you can use the name of the publication or the name of the article. The name of the article is better. So in this instance, we see that we have our quote here, open quote, end quote, and then open parentheses, quote, impact of global warming, end quote. That means that's the name of the particular article. And then the page number, close parentheses, period. The ellipses here shows us that there's more in this sentence, but for the purposes of this paper, that's all that we need. What if there's no page number? Well, This often happens, especially when you are talking about something like Dr. King's letter from her Birmingham jail. A lot of times it's an anthology, but a lot of times it's on a website, so that's not going to have a page number on a website. Go ahead and do it by paragraph. He's got lots and lots of paragraphs, so you should be careful in your numbering. It can get tedious. So how do I quote a poem? In English classes, we often discuss poetry, and rather than every time you have a line break you have to hit return in your paragraph, you don't have to do that. You just put in this really cool / and then your professor will know that that's where the line break goes. So we're going to use Dulce et Decorum Est by Wilfred Owen, and the quote, the words that he says that we are quoting, open quote. Drunk with fatigue, deaf even to the hoots of disappointed shells that dropped behind. End quote. Open parentheses, Owen 7-8. That's how we know that it's the line numbers. Okay? It could be page numbers, but if your professor doesn't know that that is a poem, then you got bigger problems. So sometimes we don't use people's exact words, but we do use their ideas. You still need to cite them. You probably should not go around talking to people about, oh, you know, E = mc squared, la-di-da, because you'll lose your credibility. We all know that Albert Einstein came up with the theory of relativity, and you still want to give credit for ideas. And you don't want to change just a word or two in someone's text and then claim that as your own, because that's still plagiarism. You need to put the thoughts into your own words. So read the material, get the website, get the book, get the article, mark it up, and then put it aside for 15 minutes. Then have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, come back and then write down everything that you can remember from the reading. For me, it helps to just actually write it down. I don't know what that is, but it seems to help a lot of people to do the physical act of writing in this instance. So then give the information and cite the source either at the end of the sentence that you're talking about or at the end of that paragraph if there are multiple sentences. It often happens when you're summarizing somebody's ideas. Okay, so here's the trickiest of trickies. What if I'm quoting someone who's quoting someone else? So you are doing an article summary. You're discussing an article written by Smith, and she's talking about something that a person named Barnes said. So there's two ways to approach this. One, you can say, according to Smith, quote, Barnes asserts that global water supplies are depleting rapidly, end quote, page 42, and then the period at the end of that sentence. Or if you don't mention Smith, or you just want to use that person's direct words, you can do that. The problem is that open quote, ellipses, because we have words before the word global water supplies are depleting rapidly. And then end quote, open parentheses, you have Barnes, because that's Barnes's words, but they're quoted in Smith, so QTD in Smith, and then the page number, which in this instance is 42, close parentheses, and then period. Is that the coolest thing ever? I am an unapologetic nerd in this instance. I just think that's really a cool way to do it. So, if you have any questions about in-text citations, how to do paraphrases, attributive tags, or any of the other messy things that go on with MLA citations, send me an email to onlinetutoring@cwu.edu or to my personal email. My name is Mindy Dew, and it's DIEUM@cwu.edu. You can also give me a call, 509-963-1947.